Today's episode is brought to you by HelloFresh. Do you feel like you're stuck in a dinner rut? With HelloFresh, you get fresh, pre-measured ingredients with mouth-watering seasonal recipes delivered right to your door. Skip all those trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. You can now enjoy cooking and get dinner on the table in 30 minutes or less. With over 25 recipes to choose from each week, there is something for everyone to enjoy. All recipes are designed and tested by professional chefs and nutritional experts to ensure deliciousness and simplicity. Go to the link in our show notes to get $80 off, including free shipping on HelloFresh, the #1 meal kit.
You heard the rest. Now here's the best. Stay Tuned Sports Podcast.
And hello there, all you Stay Tuners. Welcome back to another episode of Stay Tuned Sports. It's your good friend Jimbo here, back again after a small little heart attack there Sunday night, with the Notre Dame game. Jesus, almost called that one to a T with some of the Truck Series guys. I really thought Florida State was going to pull that out. But, obviously we're going to talk a little bit about that. And plus the little story that's coming out of that game. Nice little story. But before we get into the show itself, make sure you guys head over to staytunesports.net so you can follow all of our social media accounts. Because I was actually live tweeting during the Notre Dame game there too. So if you follow us over on Twitter and Facebook, you'll be able to interact with us. And as well as on the top of our website is our merch list tab, so in case you want to buy some merch there. And if you don't want to do that, like I always say every week, I'm okay with it, totally understand, it's tough times nowadays. But if you want to go over to www.buymeacoffee.com/stsports, you can help support the show that way. Show a little love over there, and I'll give you a shout out on the show. Just like we had already had like 4 or 5 people show their support over there, and I appreciate it. So, and with the NFL season starting this weekend, Thursday. Don't forget about our Stay Tuned Sports chat line. It's 612-STS-CHAT. You could ask me any questions about football, college football, about the weekend sports. And with this being the first week of the NFL season, I'm bringing back the Blue Picks later in the show here. You guys could call in and say, hey, Jimbo, you're a dumbass. Why'd you pick that team as a blowout? They're going to get blown out. So another way for us to interact with each other. You'll be put on the show here and everything like that as well. So, like I said at the top of the show here, Notre Dame gave me a heart attack Sunday night. It's not that they didn't look good. It's just the fact that, like I said, can't remember the last time I seen a Notre Dame game where they played 4 quarters. First quarter was very close at the end of the quarter. I think Notre Dame was only up 7-0. Now let's not forget too that Notre Dame was ranked number 9. Florida State wasn't even ranked. So I'm not saying that they should have been up 56-0 at the end of the first quarter, but should have been a lot more than 7-0. And when that happened, I was texting back and forth our good buddy King. I told him I'm nervous. The only good thing that I took out of this game, because going into the game there was a lot of questions. Let's be honest. You have a brand new quarterback. You lost a lot of starters. Definitely lost a couple on the offensive line, I believe, and that showed. But Jack Cohn, man, he looked good. He looked good, and he was smart with a lot of plays, especially the 2 missed snaps. particularly the second one too, where he was in shotgun formation, and like the commentators said, they don't know if the center must have thought he was under center or something, because the ball just kind of came out, just dropped, never even got to Cohen, and he jumped up there, picked up the ball, probably could have dropped back and made something out of the play, but instead chose to just pick it up and just run forward and get whatever he could, and I believe he got like 3-4 yards out of it. So it showed that he's a smart kid, and his deep passes, the touch on him too. He had the 2 touchdowns he had earlier in the game. They were some nice passes there. Now, again, it's only one game, and I always believed in this whole, you got to give these college teams the first 4 games, and after that you pretty much know what you got. That's why I don't believe that they should have any type of rankings the first 4 weeks, because what they show in the beginning is not what they're going to show at the end. How they're going to be looking at the end there. And who knows, maybe the defense will get their shit together by the end of the year, because again, that defense was terrible. Our defensive line was getting pressure. They need to work on wrapping up tacklers or ball carriers, because they could have got a lot more sacks. But that back end of the defense, man, they were just terrible. They were just letting everything go. The only bright spot on the defense was our cornerback that might be going as a top 5 pick next year's draft. That was our only bright spot on the defensive backs and the safeties. I was surprised to see the running game be not as productive as I was hoping. Williams and the other kid thought they were going to have big games, but they didn't. But Jack Cohen had a big game, and broke Tommy Rees's single game passing record. He had 380 yards or so, 4 touchdowns. He definitely gave me some confidence in the quarterback position now. Granted, we got Toledo this weekend. I mean, who knows? After watching how they lost to, or almost lost to Florida State. And, I could say, well, they almost lost to a backup quarterback, but the thing was, they were up by 18, and when Florida State's starting quarterback got his helmet knocked off, he had to obviously go off the field here. Mackenzie Milton came in. Now, if the name sounds familiar, and I'm pretty sure you've seen some of the highlights by now and the stories by now, Mackenzie Milton hasn't played football since 2018 because of a very, very nasty leg injury. They almost made it sound like it was actually worse than Alex Smith, if not the same. Playing a game, he was at UCF, starting quarterback there, and ended up, doing a bunch of things to his legs. Broke a couple bones in there, kneecaps, just gruesome shit. And a lot of people said that his legs should have been amputated, let alone 3 years later playing in a college football game. This was such a big moment that even his surgeons showed up to the game because they had to see it for their eyes. They during the game, they were quoted saying basically they wouldn't count Milton out, but it's highly doubtful he'll ever play a game again. Not only did he play, but like I said, he brought Florida State back, tied it up, and taken Notre Dame, the number 9 ranked team, into overtime, and almost pulled off the win. Now, the reason why I bring up about Mackenzie Milton, yeah, Florida State sucks, okay? They haven't been good in years, right? This kid deserves a shot at starting. If you watch that game, when he came in, that team played totally different. Like, they were awake, they were motivated, they were playing for something. When they had the other kid, the kid that had his helmet knocked off, his name is Travis, I think it was Jordan Travis, something like that. When he was playing, he looked lost, unless they had the momentum going. Like, he couldn't handle the pressure. And when Milton came in, it just seemed like that team was, had so much more energy again. And, to only lose by 3 points in overtime to a number 9 ranked team in the nation. I mean, you have to. I mean, there's no way around this. I mean, that they had to work with the starting quarterback in the offseason, try to get his confidence back. And I'd be willing to bet his confidence was shaken during this game because it showed. Milton's confidence wasn't shaken. He brought them back. So I would like to see Florida State give him a shot to start. And I mean, obviously Florida State's not going to win no national title or anything like that. But with how the ACC played this past week, Clemson losing, North Carolina I believe lost. Get a couple wins with Milton under there. Maybe you could win the conference. Never know. The other topic too that came out of the Notre Dame game I want to touch on, I thought it was funny. Now, I mean, I'm not one of these uptight that if you sneeze the wrong way, I want you canceled people. Okay. After the game, when they were coming off the field, the ABC reporter stopped Coach Kelly and was talking to him and asked him, what did he think about his team's performance? And he replied, "I'm in favor of execution. Maybe our entire team needs to be executed after tonight. We didn't just execute very well." Well, now he's getting shit for that because he said he would execute his whole team. Like, guys, come on now. He's not going to actually do it. He's not physically harming them or anything like that. It's just, turned out to be a little inside joke, I guess, or a play on a joke from years ago. Back when we didn't get offended by, stupid shit like this. I mean, when he said it, my wife was watching the game by this point with me. I bust out laughing. I thought it was funny as hell because he even started chuckling a little bit on camera when he said it. And what joke he was referencing to was and when he at his post-game press conference after he went to the locker room, talked to his team, all that, and he got another post-game conference. This is what he said about the phrase. It's an old John McKay quote. John McKay, who was the Buccaneers' inaugural season head coach when they went 0-14, was asked pretty much the same question, and he said, "I'm in favor of execution." Okay, so now back to what Kelly said. Said I was kidding. It was tongue-in-cheek. It wasn't funny. I was talking and making a joke about it. It was taken serious. Are you people crazy? And I agree with him. Again, if you guys watch that game, that team should be, other than Jack Cohn, should be ripped apart and start over because you're playing a unranked team who's been shitty for a few years now and you barely beat them. So maybe, just maybe, hopefully, our Notre Dame team isn't as soft as some people that took offense to this quote, and open their eyes, because if there's one aspect of the game or area, is our offensive line was terrible this game. Just terrible. They got pushed around all over the place, and I wonder if that's why they really didn't favor the run game, a little bit more, because they saw that they weren't getting any push. But to get upset over just a little joke like that, There's bigger things out there to be worried about other than, oh, he wants to excuse whole team. Shut up. NFL starts Thursday night. Tampa Bay versus the Dallas Cowgirls. Yes, I'm going to rag on them already. I'm excited. I'm actually kind of surprised that Dallas is the opening game with Tampa Bay. I always felt like, whoever was in the Super Bowl should be the rematch for, week 1 to open up the season. Because, really, like, what is going to be, in a way, accomplished by having Dallas play Tampa Bay? Tampa Bay is just going to run all over them. You got Tom Brady and then, Dak Prescott coming back. First time playing on that surgically repaired leg and all that stuff. So you don't know what he's going to bring to the table. Is he going to be a little rusty? Tampa Bay, I believe, offensively, maybe -1, maybe 2 players, is the same team that just won the Super Bowl. Last year's Dallas defense wasn't that great. So that this game could get out of hand quick, and I think that's why the point spread is so big there, with Tampa Bay giving 8.5. But don't want to talk about the Cowgirls. Screw them. We'll talk about them when my beloved Eagles play them in a few weeks. But the Eagles do open up at Atlanta this weekend. Not too sure what to expect, to be honest. I think really the Eagles game is going to come down to how well the receivers play for Philly and how well Hurts plays for Philly. I think if they could get off to a good start, it'll open up things for Miles Sanders. Because if I'm Atlanta, I'm keying more on Sanders and pushing Hurts to try to pass. Because even though he did look good in the preseason, it's preseason. Okay? If you look at how his season ended, everybody still believes he played better than Carson Wentz. If you really look at the stats and compare the stats, I still believe they kind of played equal. But again, he was a rookie, so now he has a full year of learning the playbook and practicing with his teammates and things like that, so he could get some chemistry down. Defensively, for Philly, that line's going to be that line. They're going to show up. They're going to cause pressure. The question marks are going to be, like every year for the past 10 years, how well are the cornerbacks going to play? Darius Slay comes back, who played really well last year for us. Now we got that kid from Pittsburgh that we signed a few weeks back to go on the other side of Slay. So now we may finally have our 1-2 combo for our cornerbacks. And, you got Avonte Maddox now playing the nickel, where he played a lot better as a nickelback than on the outside. So, linebackers, I love Alex Singleton. I think we finally found our stalwart there. He's all over the place making tackles. As far as Atlanta, again, they're in a rebuild state. So they could be real shitty, or this could be a competitive, boring game. Lots of turnovers possibly. But I would like to think my Eagles are going to win. Not going to give a score, because I have learned never pick your team to win or lose, because then they're just going to break your heart and do the opposite. With the NFL season, like I said, starting this week, we are bringing back our blue picks.
Fourth and 5. Jones steps up, takes off, he's in, touchdown!
Third down and 3. Jackson has all day. Looking deep for Hollywood Brown again. He's got it. Brown off to the races. And he stays on his feet. Touchdown.
And here is your Blue Picks of the Week. Brought to you by Skunk Duck Studios, the best ducking designs on the web. Yes, that is right. So to kind of reiterate what the rules were from last year about our Blue Picks. Blue Picks are your blowout pick, lock pick, and upset pick. So with your blowout pick, what team do you think is going to win by 10 points or more? Our lock pick is obviously, it's a no-brainer. You know, can't lose this one. And then our upset is an underdog that is not favored by 5 points or more. So to kick it off with our blowout pick, we have I actually picked the Packers over the Saints. I've been saying all off season I'm not sold on Jameis Winston. I think he'll play better than he did his last season in Tampa Bay. But I think some of the tendencies will creep back and kind of get into his head. And I mean, he's not going to be no Drew Brees, so I hope, you know, Sean Payne don't believe that. And Taysom Hill is not going to be no Drew Brees, so I think that's going to be a interesting part of their team to watch is the quarterback position. On the other side, Aaron Rodgers, you know, with his offseason squabble with Green Bay, finally coming to terms with Green Bay that they'll trade him in the offseason, kind of made a gentleman's agreement whether Green Bay is actually going to do it. And, you know, even though Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers coming off an MVP season, has shown over the years he's a very, very good quarterback. I think this season's probably his most important one because if you play shitty and you want out Green Bay, teams are not going to give up first-round draft picks for you. They're going to give up what they think you're valued at for the future, not for what you did, you know, 10 years ago. And if you play shitty this year, teams could say, hey, he's starting his decline. You know, we don't want to give up a first-round pick for him. And then Green Bay, you know, again, it's a gentleman's agreement that they'll trade him. They don't have to trade him. So that's why I'm going with the Packers, just because Aaron Rodgers has a lot to prove, and I think it's going to show in this game. My lock pick for this game is Minnesota over Cincinnati. Cincinnati still has a lot of offensive line questions. Can the offensive line keep Joe Burrow standing? And, you know, they took Chase, the wide receiver from LSU, instead of trying to get offensive line help, and Chase has been dropping balls left and right. Can Chase get out of his head and start being the wide receiver they think he is and help Burrow out and get that offense going? I don't think this game is going to show that. I think it's going to still show the dropsies, and I think Burrow's going to still get a lot of pressure coming at him. So I got Minnesota there for the lock pick. Then my upset pick, Steelers over the Bills. Okay? The Bills are giving the Steelers 6.5 points. And I'm going to probably take a lot of shit for this next statement. So, again, don't be afraid to call 612-STS chat to tell me I'm wrong, or you could argue with me. But I will not be surprised if we see a regression in Josh Allen. We've seen too many times these young quarterbacks, aka Carson Wentz, get a big contract and then all of a sudden just kind of lollygag through a season, not keep going up with his production. Now, I mean, he already set the bar high for himself to begin with a MVP-like season last year. But I think you're going to see a little setback here with Josh Allen. And I'm buying into Big Ben. I'm buying into that he's more motivated this year. He knows this year most likely is his last. So, you know, kind of like the Jerome Bettis, let's go out on top here, boys. And he's already coming out to bat for TJ Watt, and that's a big part of their defense. So I think that's why Pittsburgh is going to win this game, get the upset over the Bills, because I think between Pittsburgh's defense and the new Ben look, or whatever you want to call him, new motivated Ben, I think they're going to pull it off. Up next, we have our Combat Corner segment, which is sponsored by BetAngles, live scores, odds, and the best expert picks every day. Start winning today at betangles.com. This Friday, we have our BKFC 21 card back. I looked at some of the fights, and I believe there's a lot of new debuting fighters, so I'm not really going to pick all of them. I actually got only like three cards I picked, which was the main event, co-main event, and one of the debuts. Houston Alexander's making his BKFC debut versus Wes Combs. Combs, who is already 1-0 in the BKFC. Houston Alexander, who is a former UFC fighter, he is a little older now. You know, it seems like BKFC is still, tapping into that older roster of BKFC or UFC. I'm sorry, but I'm going with actually Wes Combs here to win, because I think the age part of it for Houston Alexander is going to show. And with Wes Combs already having one fight in, kind of already has a little taste of how bare knuckle is. I think that's what's going to show, and I think that's what's going to get Wes Combs the win for this match. Then the co-main event is my boy Sam Shoemaker versus Josh Burns. Both guys coming off losses, but Sam is coming off a title loss to Joey Beltran and making a quick turnaround. He only lost 2 or 3 months ago. I thought that was a close fight between Sam and Joey. Now Josh Burns, he was in, I believe, like a heavyweight title elimination, or first, to be the first contender or whatever, and he just did not look good at all. He looked like he didn't even want to be there. If that guy shows up for this fight, Sam is just gonna maul him and make, I believe, quick work, because Sam has shown he has been getting a lot better, and the fact that he made the heavyweight title fight so close shows he's right there. He's almost putting it all together to finally win that belt. So I'm going Sam Shoemaker as my pick for the co-main event. Then for the main event, we have Dakota Cochran versus Mike Richmond. Cochran, who is already 3-0 in the division, the welterweight division in BKFC. Going with him because he makes quick work of people. He took on Chris Levin, who we know is a tough son of a bitch, in his BKFC debut, and he won that one. So those are my picks for this Friday's card. Make sure you guys follow me over there. I may be live tweeting that one. So make sure you head over to staytunedsports.net. That way on the right hand side is all social media accounts. You can make sure that you're following and liking all that stuff, so that way we could interact a little bit there. And make sure you head over to www.buymeacoffee.com/stsports if you want to help support the show. However you want to help support, I appreciate that. And to kind of touch on about my Josh Allen Bills comment, if you disagree with it, call 612-STS-CHAT. Tell me how you feel about it, and I'll put you guys on the air, and I'll have my rebuttal. So I think that's going to be it for this week. Till next week, it's your good friend Jimbo, signing out.